Hello, and welcome to a solo edition of the Make More Money podcast. So, this week I say a solo edition because it's just me, your only host, Marlon Martinez. Steven is off gallivanting with his wife in Mexico, enjoying their short vacation and celebrating that he's finally joined the ranks of us solopreneurs and quit his job. So, this last Monday, I believe, was his last day of work, and now he's loving life, going to take some time off before he focuses 100% on business. But what does that mean? It means that you get to have me all by yourself. So not too much banter, bickering, and digressions. Hopefully I will be able to keep myself on track and focused on our topics at hand. So no one yelling over my shoulder to Tootsie roll back into this, except the own voices in my head. So let's get into it. On today's episode, we're going to start by hopefully making you feel a little bit better. There was a new study that came out by the Lending Club that said 1/3 of Americans making $250,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. These are what we like to call the Henrys, the high earners, not rich yet. They are in the high earner category, bringing in $250,000 a year, and they're still struggling. So if you are in that group, you're not alone. If you're making above $250,000 a year and you feel like you're stuck living paycheck to paycheck, well, join the club. You know, there's a third of Americans out there in that same category that are in the same boat as you. If you're not there yet, if you're not quite making $250,000 a year, you're under that. What does that mean for you? Well, that, high earners suffer too. These people, these groups of individuals teach us the classic lesson that more money doesn't necessarily mean that all your problems go away. Money can't buy happiness, so to speak, right? But it does help along the way, according to some people. I like to say that, money doesn't buy happiness, but, just like, who was it? Daniel Tosh, the comedian Daniel Tosh, he said, yes, it doesn't buy happiness, but have you ever seen anyone upset riding a jet ski? No, it's hard to be, pissed off or upset when you're riding a jet ski. And if you could afford one, it's fun. So to me, money is a resource. It's a tool. So yeah, it's not more money, more problems, but it's also not, more money, less problems. It's everyone has their own level of problems. Now, to be fair with this, having to live paycheck to paycheck doesn't necessarily mean hardship either. The Lending Club in their study made a distinction between those who can pay their bills easily and those that can't. And it turned out that about 1 in every 10, so about 10%, reported issues covering their household expenses. So yes, they were living paycheck to paycheck, but they weren't necessarily struggling, which means that they're still stuck in the rat race, but they're at least covering their expenses. Unfortunately, to me, that doesn't mean a whole lot because it still shows me that there's a lack of discipline out there. There's still a mass of people that struggle just like I used to before, I figured my stuff out. And, that's why Steven and I do what we do, because we want to, help entertain, educate, and provide our experiences so that you guys can learn from us and not have to be stuck in the same situation. Again, you want to live ultimately below your means. And this shows us that even at $250,000 a year, people are living at or above their means. So, there's resources out there. Tap into them. Go out there, look to see what you could do, what you could accomplish. We're constantly plugging different resources out there. So let me put in my own. I'm going to be covering different things in my solo podcast moving forward, which is going to be the More with Marlon podcast. I'm still going to be doing what I'm doing with Steven. And just like he's got the Steven Corson show, I'm going to have the More with Marlon show. In it, I'm going to be going into some more details that might help you if you want to get down to the basics, the foundations, the nitty gritty of what you can do to break out of that rat race. One thing you could do is start building an emergency fund. And I know it's, easier said than done, but there's ways to do it. And in my episode, I'm going to cover the importance of that because, you need to have something that builds your foundation in case, shit hits the fan, pardon my French. So plug in that show, and now let's tootsie roll back into our own episode here. What does the economic landscape look like moving forward? So let's say, you are done, you're not living paycheck to paycheck, or even if you are, well, what does the next year look like for us as far as investments, trading, the economy as a whole? We see, inflation is at a 4-year high. We see, quantitative easing by the Fed has kind of stalled, and now we're going into a period of quantitative tightening. So what does the landscape look like? Well, Jamie Dimon, chairman and chief executive of JPMorgan Chase, didn't sound too optimistic in his last interview. He actually came out and said that what we're looking at is kind of like a hurricane. It's not just a recession that we're kind of looking to. It's not a depression. It's not a tropical depression. It's a potential hurricane. It's the perfect storm of stuff going bad for the economy. Now, I don't necessarily agree with him. I think, yes, things can get tough and things are going to get much worse before they get better from an economic standpoint, but they kind of need to, because we've been in a period of, everything goes up, stock market goes up, economy's been doing fantastic, allegedly on paper, but people are still losing their jobs. People are still struggling financially. People are still dealing with the pandemic. We need to, again, in my opinion, to have a period of slowdown where we bring things back to normalcy. And I mean, there's always a correction period. So, just like when things are going well, people are elated. When things start going bad, you're used to the elation. You're going to have a big, psychological, emotional crash. It's going to happen, but we're going to recover. We're going to find that mid ground again. So with this quote unquote perfect storm, or this hurricane that Jamie Dimon was talking about, it's specific to the economy. It's saying that things are going to slow down and potentially stall and go backwards for a little while. That doesn't mean you can't take advantage of it. That doesn't mean you can't make money. Again, that's what this whole show is for. It's to learn how to make more money, even if the economy is faltering, even if the economy is going down and backwards. I'm going to list a couple of things, but go back to our previous episodes. I mean, I'm going to be making money by doing what I've been doing, like what I learned to do in the past. In a bear market, in a recession, in a depression, it's the perfect opportunity to make more money. I overuse this quote at times, but it's, when there's blood in the streets, buy real estate. When, people are fearful, get greedy. It's the perfect time to, if you have cash on hand, I start looking at ways to use it to buy things on sale. So for me, my top strategies and things that I'm going to be looking forward to make more money in the next couple of months to the next year as the potential hurricane hits, this is going to be my shelter. I'm going to be looking at dollar cost average down, like we've talked in past episodes. I'm going to be looking at inverse ETFs. I'm actually investing in inverse ETFs now, so that I could be making more money while the market drops. And the last thing I'm going to be doing, and this is actually an answer question that I've had from a couple of close friends and family members of mine, is, what is a safe haven? What is a good shelter just for stability? I mean, Stephen likes to say I'm much more conservative when it comes to investing than he is. So my philosophy is I like to have stability. I like to have money that, yes, I'm investing, but it's maintaining some, basic level and giving me a return. A high yield savings account just doesn't cut it anymore. Bonds aren't looking that great. So I'm looking at dividends. I'm looking at equities that pay me to hold them. So whether it's ETFs or blue chip stocks, I like to see what type of stocks, and I'm going to be looking into it more and more to hold, cash reserves into these. I get it. They're not cash reserves because I'm putting them in stocks, but I mean, for me, it's easy payback because they're somewhat stable. I'm looking at these ETFs that have all these blue chip stocks in them, or I'm going to be putting some of my money into some of the blue chip stocks. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, blue chips, I'm not talking about those, Tostitos, blue corn chips or anything. I'm specifically talking about stocks that have a proven track record, and generally they operate globally. I mean, if you have questions, go to your old friend, the Google, go on there and type, what are some blue chip stocks? If you want to get more specific, blue chip stocks that pay dividends, type it in, see what comes up, do your research. That's what I do. I mean, usually these blue chip stocks will have strong brand reputations. These are brands that they usually know about and you've heard about, and they have a history of delivering solid returns over time. More so, they actually tend to increase dividend payouts regularly. So, yes, anything could happen, especially in a massive recession. We've seen good stocks completely stop paying out dividends, but some of these blue chips tend to be consistent even in times of recession. So one of the go-tos for me has been AT&T. I mean, they classically used to pay about 11% before they're split off with Time Warner, but they still pay about a 5.6, so anywhere between 5 and 6% dividend. And it's fluctuated a little bit, but over the course of the last 5 years, it's traded somewhat sideways. I mean, if you look at it, month to month, it can go up from $20 to 30 and come back down. But overall, when you zoom out, when in doubt, zoom out, it's traded sideways and it's been giving a return. So I've been holding AT&T for probably about 2 years now. And for me, it's been a good, consistent payback. It's given me a good dividend payouts quarterly. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with different strategies for dividends. Some people like to, divvy their money up so they get monthly returns. So they'll put it in blue chip stocks and ETFs that pay out quarterly, but every month they're getting a payment from different ones. Or you can just say, I'm going to do it quarterly. But the goal is, again, it's investment. It's long term. So it's set it and forget it. I like to put my money in these and think of it as a, high yield savings account that I'm going to hold for a while. I don't need that cash anytime soon, so I'm putting them in there. That's it, guys. You see, I told you, short and sweet. That's my take for the week on financial news and financial things going on. But before I go, I guess I will mention a very, very concise crypto crunch. We're still in the same boat. Crypto's doing the same thing it's been doing. It's leading the market where, it had a massive collapse a while back and it's been maintaining. It hasn't dropped too drastically. Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're all doing the same thing. They're stabilizing a little bit. We're hoping for a recovery in the next couple of weeks to months, but I'm holding long term. Same thing, seeing as an investment. The latest news that I could talk about is potentially the new Terra coin. So if you've been listening to us, all three of you, thank you for listening. There was the big Luna or Terra coin collapse a couple of weeks ago, and that coin lost 99.99999 and a bunch of other nines behind it percent of their value. So people were, scrambling, pulling out of the market, doing all sorts of crazy things. And the owner, I guess, or the creator of the coin, with, as many flaws or virtues as you want to give the guy, I don't know if it's good or bad or indifferent, he decided to launch a Terra 2.0 or a Luna coin 2.0. And it doesn't replace the old Luna coin. The old Luna coin is still there and it's called Luna Classic. Hasn't really done much, but there is a new Luna coin out there. So again, do your research, see what you want to do. I actually went in and took a risk. As conservative as I am, I said, you know what? I'm willing to throw $150 at it, and bought, it was 30 coins for 150 because they were valued at about $5 when they came out. But to me, like everything else, it's the way the pros versus the cons. And I said, I'm willing to throw away $150 on the potential that if it returns to what the old Luna coin was at its peak, about $80 per coin, hey, I've done pretty well at that point. It's about a 40x or 40 no yeah 40% or 40x return on my investment. And if my math is wrong, I'm sorry. I'm here by myself and I don't have anyone to correct my math. So yeah, let's say 40x. It's a good return. But even if it was a 5x return on my investment, I'm willing to throw $150 on that just to make 500. Who knows? So again, like everything, do your own research, see what you like out there. But I like it. I like the idea that it might return to where it was at. So I'm not going to throw a ton of cash at it, but hey, why not take a little bit of a risk? That's what I tell myself. I'm not telling you. As always, this is not financial advice. This is more for entertainment purposes. And if you ever have the urge to make more money like I do, then hopefully I'm giving you some ideas of, ways to get creative and resourceful on your own. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys again. And I will see you next week with Steven again, unless he decides that, he's having way too much fun in Mexico and he's going to stay out there by himself because his wife's got to come back to work. All right, guys. Thanks again. And I will see you soon.